ways to win, still figuring out ways to hit home runs and win these close.
Is Landry right here. And she begins the game getting a slow ground out to third for Nellie McEnroe. The 8th morning. Danica Coffey to face Landry. And take a drop ball for a strike at 72. Robbie Guest league is Landry right here. And she begins the game getting a slow ground out to third for Nellie McEnroe Marinas.
Sam Landry is just so long in the circle. She throws with good velocity, has really long arms and long legs, and the ball gets on you in a hurry. So you're worried about her speed, but then she can bring her changeup and work both north and south in the zone, side to side, both sides of the plate. The way that, to me, she has elevated her game in her senior year, transferring over to Oklahoma and working with Jen Rocha has been really special to watch. She was really great at Louisiana the first 3 years, but the level of competition that she's played in the SEC this year and kept her consistent ERA, her consistent stats and numbers has been impressive despite the better competition.
Facing Jayla Lassiter, LSU's center fielder. Lassiter in her first year with the Tigers after 2 seasons in the league with Ole Miss. She had 2 hits yesterday, including an infield single that brought in 2 runs. 1-1 from Landry. Is a little low. That's going to be the crucial area in the strike zone for Sam Landry and her catcher Isabella Emmerling, also a transfer. She came from North Carolina. A lot of new faces for Patty Gasso this year.
And there's that changeup. She told me a couple of weeks ago that that changeup is her favorite pitch. She's able to rebound even quicker whenever that pitch gets hit because she has so much belief in that pitch that she just chalks it up as like, oh, well, moving on. She loves that changeup so much.
Throws it again. Lassiter didn't bite. 3-2 for the Tiger Jr. It's brought some speed, some swagger, and some confidence to LSU. Jayla Lassiter trying to bring them the game's first base runner. And she won't. Landry triples up.
There's that favorite pitch. It is her changeup. She throws it right at the bottom of the zone. Perfect location. Lassiter way out in front of that pitch. She's going to throw her drop ball more this season than ever before in her career. It's her most used pitch at Oklahoma this year. Alongside that changeup, she'll work in her screwball and her rise ball, which is her best chase pitch out of the zone. And when you look at her numbers from the first 3 years at Louisiana to Oklahoma in terms of pitch usage, she's really transformed into a pitcher that relies more on changing speeds and goes more vertical up and down with her rise ball and drop ball instead of more east to west with her curve and screw. And there's her screw. I mean, as a right-handed hitter, when you see 72 miles an hour right at your knees, right at the bottom of the zone, that's a hard pitch to get your barrel to. She gets a really good angle and cuts that pitch inside, a pitch that she has felt more comfortable throwing this year working with Jen Rocha.
She's behind Macy Badger on 3-0. And here comes Emmerling with LSU's biggest hitter, Tori Edwards, on deck. Edwards has moved down to the cleanup spot. So obviously it's incumbent upon these LSU top 3 hitters for Beth Torina to give Edwards a first inning chance. Yesterday, LSU went down 1-2-3 in the first, and then Edwards was hit by a pitch to begin a 4-run second. A 3-0 strike is in there after the meeting in the circle.
Goes to that screwball whenever she needs a strike. Seems like she'll go to her screwball or her changeup whenever she needs a pitch to get back into the count.
Here's a 3-1. Grounded to third. That will twist foul, and it's 3-2. Oklahoma had the 3rd best pitching staff in SEC games this year, 3.65 ERA. The 5th best offense and the best record a half game ahead of Texas A&M at 17-7. Landry, their ace, with a 3-2. It's low, but it's a swing by Bergeron. She's a team that has lost 2 straight coming in. Dropped 2 of 3 against Florida over the weekend. And Brazan's first pitch is up off the glove of her catcher, Macy Bergeron, to the sophomore Cassidy Pickering. Likely All-American here. Pickering with an on-base percentage of .565 leads the team, slugging .843. And she has been death to drop balls this year as well. So it could be a very good matchup for the sophomore from Humble, Texas. Brazan's 2-0 is up and in. Cassidy Pickering this year 20 out of 40 against drop balls with 6 home runs. There's the slugging percentage, 1,100 on what is Sydney Brazan's signature pitch.
And when you look at what Oklahoma is better at hitting as a team, it's definitely the drop ball compared to the rise ball, which is pretty normal to see, but about a 100-point drop off between the drop ball and the rise ball for their team average.
Ball outside.
Up and away for ball 4. Brazan puts on Pickering.
And what Brazan is going to want these hitters to do is chase her drop ball out of the zone, like what Florida did a couple weekends ago. She was locating that drop ball both sides of the plate, being able to throw it for a strike and out of the zone. Her location and command of her drop ball in that series was so much better than it was last weekend against Arkansas, but it's that drop ball that she will go to over 60% of the time.
Fouled away by the big swinging Ella Parker in the designated player spot.
Whoops.
She lose the glove there, or lost the
bat?
The bat.
Yeah.
And the padding that's the wrist card too. It all went flying off. You know, they have a great javelin thrower, Gabby Garcia. 2 batters later in the lineup. Maybe Ella's just learned some tricks from her. Pretty amazing to watch Ella Parker last weekend against Florida. Go back to her last 5 games. She's 12 for 20 with a double and 4 home runs, and playing through some real pain. She's been dealing with a lower leg injury for much of this season. And you could see it was really bothering her the first half of SEC play. Patty Gasso said it's not like she's in less pain. She's just figured out how to hit through it.
Just learn how to handle it a little bit more. It's one of those things that I think you just get more used to the pain instead of maybe it seeming so abrupt at first when it's first happening and you're just trying to work around it. Now she's just barreling through it with her aggressiveness at the plate and the way that she's using her lower half better and more.
Well, 10 pitches, 8 balls. A very difficult start for Sydney Brazan. She has walked the first 2 Sooners.
She had a really tough weekend last weekend against Arkansas, and again the weekend before that against Florida. She looked fantastic whenever LSU came back to win that series. They lost game 1, they got run ruled and then won a close one and then run ruled Florida, and Sydney Brazan shutting down the Florida offense was a big part of that. But last weekend was different.
A bunt laid down by Nellie McEnroe-Marinas, and a fine play by Danica Coffey retires her at first. The 3rd sacrifice bunt of the year by McEnroe-Marinas. There's one thing that tells you it's a different Oklahoma team. Didn't see a lot of bunts out of the 3 spot from OU during the 4-peat. But an effective play puts runners at 2nd and 3rd. Patty Gasso is very happy about it.
Ball
1 low to the freshman Gabby Garcia. Garcia having a tremendous freshman year. 15 home runs, 47 RBIs, both lead the team. Coming out of Chandler, Arizona. One of many members of the Orange County Batbusters, a travel team that's like a pipeline to OU.
And Sydney Berzon is going to have to be careful with trying to find the command of her drop ball. That last one was left more up in the zone. You saw the patience of Gabby Garcia, just looking like she just full-blown took that pitch until she got a strike. A little bit more aggressive with that take. You can see as the barrel starts to move forward. The take before that just looked like a dead red take on a pitch that was more up in the zone. A lot of patience that they're going to show to Berzon until she can prove that she can command the strike zone.
Garcia swings away on 3-1. Off the netting and the count runs full.
I'll tell you what, Kevin, I watched Oklahoma lose the series in Tuscaloosa to Alabama, and they looked a little bit more timid, unsure in their swings. And then it was the weekend after that I was watching them play in the past few weeks where their swings have been so much more aggressive and strong.
Out was donated by McEnroe Marinas. And Beth Torina is going to hang out in that LSU dugout with a bases packed and 1 out for Sid Sanders. The only senior in the starting 9 takes ball 1. Sanders, one of the most patient and powerful hitters in the nation, has the world at her disposal here. And she takes strike 1.
And that's an off-speed curveball that Sydney Berzon threw very well in that Florida series too. Whenever she looked so strong in the circle, she did not just rely on her drop ball on both sides of the plate, but she also spun an off-speed curveball. A lot of these Oklahoma hitters are getting the very back of the box to combat that drop ball and make her bring it up.
Sanders is hit by the pitch, and Oklahoma scores a run with 4 base runners, all via free passes. 1-0 Sooners in a wild first inning for Berzon.
She's trying to get this drop ball in the inside corner, ends up riding too far in, and just Sydney Sanders just wears it. Doesn't move at all, and you don't have to if the ball is fully in the batter's box. She knows that that's going to be an RBI in the first run of the game for OU.
Ilana Agbayani takes a strike. Wonder how long Beth Torina will go with Sydney Berzon. They've had Tatum Clopton, the transfer from Oklahoma State, up all inning. 0-1 for the second baseman, Agbayani. A weak ground ball. Berzon goes home for the out. A 1-2 fielder's choice for out number 2.
And Agbayani has some speed to get down the line. I think that Sydney Berzon just wanted to make sure, instead of rushing herself for a potential double play, that she for sure got that out at home. But that's an off-speed curveball that Berzon can throw for a strike. Got Agbayani to hit it off the end of her bat for weak contact.
Freshman Sydney Barker takes a sharp strike 1. Barker's only making her 20th start of the year. 9 of her 16 hits, 4 extra bases, including a grand slam back in mid-February against Baylor. Berzon is 1 strike, 1 pitch away from limiting the damage. It won't come here. Three freshmen in the starting lineup for Oklahoma. Barker, the third of 3. He'll take one just off the corner.
So much patience at the plate for Oklahoma. I mean, they know the strike zone so well.
Second best walk rate in the SEC of any team. Barker to third. Coffey's right at the bag. Oklahoma gets the first run on 3 walks and a hit batter. One of the most fearsome freshmen in the country. Tori Edwards out of Flower Mound, Texas. And for more on her journey and her progression, we kick it down to Taylor McGregor.
Yeah, what a season she's had, Kevin. Slugging over 800 with 18 home runs on the year. But she feels like there's a lot still left in the tank, specifically when it comes to hitting the ball the other way. She's had her 2 favorite hits of this season were a double against Virginia Tech and a home run against Kentucky. Why? Well, both of those hits went the other way, to the opposite field. And she feels like that's where she can still grow as a hitter. She has a ton of pull side power. She's incredibly strong, but wants to work on the outer edge of the plate and see if she can pick up more hits that way. So she's incredibly determined, Amanda. Let's see what she can do here against Landry.
Yeah, definitely an area that can be some growth for her. It's just to drive the ball the other way, but she is so strong that she can still pull a lot of those outside pitches and create hits, extra base hits, and even home runs.
Beth Torena said, I don't know if there's a freshman in the country who's being pitched like Tori Edwards. If there is, it's probably a short list. The 18 homers tied for the LSU single season record. And Isabella Emmerling heads over to the dugout. Something on her wrist. Got the blue tape that's become an Oklahoma staple back there. Target for the pitcher to throw.
Ball.
Tori Edwards, a redshirt freshman. She only played in 3 games last year. Was 1 for 6 with 3 walks. And she's gone from barely playing and redshirting to having the best slugging percentage in a season in LSU history.
I watched her hit in December. I was at the same facility that she was just taking swings off of a tee, and even off of a tee in a long cage, I mean, the ball just comes off of her bat differently. It sounds different, even when the ball is not moving toward her.
Way out in front of that, strike 2 from Landry. So 2 all-SEC players to be with a great matchup here. Landry has the upper hand and misses just above the dirt. We've seen back-to-back strikeouts on full count pitches. Change up and a drop ball. What do you think's coming here?
Go back to that changeup through the zone. Full count changeup, her favorite pitch. Oh, drop ball on the outside corner and a great take.
Nerves of steel by the freshman to lay off that on 3-2, and she's got a leadoff walk.
Yeah, I think both of these teams are figuring out the strike zone early. We're seeing a lot of drop balls thrown between Landry and Berzon, and not a lot of low strikes called.
Ball.
Remember, the 4-run second inning yesterday for LSU started when Edwards led off the inning by being hit by a pitch. So she gets a free pass of a different kind to set up Mackenzie Rudity.
Ball.
Someone who's been a little overshadowed by big stars in her time in Baton Rouge. Senior from Franklin, North Carolina, is a career .299 hitter, .404 on base, .489 slugging, just as steady as it comes. I bet Torena thinks this has been Rudity's best year of her career. Much better as a run producer. Said her swing decisions working with Bryce Neal have been excellent.
She gets overshadowed a lot, but just truly one of the more consistent players that you've seen start for the past few years at LSU. But a lot of other names that she's always been plugged into the lineup with, especially that senior class that graduated last year. Now hit behind Tori Edwards.
Rudity pops a 3-1 to right field. Barker's there for the first out. Here's one of the stars down the stretch for LSU, Jaden Leno. What an opposite field single in that 4-run inning yesterday.
Ball outside.
Beth Torena told us Jaden should be the poster child for anybody on a roster who didn't get what they wanted last year. Said there was never a day where she didn't work or quit trying, even though she didn't have opportunities, and fought her way into a starting spot this year.
Yeah, and Jane Leno is a really cool story that Beth Tarina told us about that I thought was kind of funny and gives a little insight into how long they've had a relationship for. She talks with hitting coach Bryce Neal there, but she was in 7th grade and committed to LSU the night before the early recruiting rule changed. And so Beth Tarina said, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was working on dividing fractions and all this, more easy 7th grade type math is like what the conversations were about that she was having with Jane Leno, because she was so young and committed to LSU. But then she couldn't talk to her again for 5 years, but she would go around the country watching her play travel ball, and she said she would always find the barrel. She would always get hits, and didn't talk to her for 5 years, and then finally got to talk to her again when she got old enough. It has grown a lot of respect for the way that she's tackled her freshman year and brought it into a lot of confidence this year after not playing last year.
Love that message to Bryce Neal. I don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get hits. 2-1, Leno grounds it foul.
Well, I liked what she said. She always gets a hit. She always finds the barrel. No matter if it's a high school game, a PGF game, a Sandlot game, her barrel always gets to pitches.
She's the 6th LSU hitter today. They've all gotten to at least 5 pitches against Landry, who's 2-2, was grounded toward the LSU dugout. Sam Landry has started either 2-0 or 2-1 on every hitter. 2 strikeouts, a walk, a ground out, and a fly out so far. Here's her 6th to Leno.
Well, and I thought it was interesting, Kevin, talking to Patty Gasso on the field before the game, and she said her and her coaching staff actually kind of went back and forth between whether to start Sam Landry or whether to start Kirsten Deal in this game. But after a tough weekend, losing 2 of 3 on the road in Gainesville against Florida, she felt like this is an important game to get her team back on track and wanted her ace of the circle.
And Leno's hanging in there against that ace. She'll see an 8th pitch at least. Another 2-2. Air strike 3. An ice cold changeup.
Right on the outside corner, she can throw that pitch on both sides of the plate, and she just sells it so well. Sam Landry told me she's always had a great changeup, and she's only thrown it one way with a flip change. She said people have tried to get me to change it, her release and her grip, but nope, this is the one that she wants to stick to, her flip change, and there it is again on the other side of the plate.
Ball 1 on Sierra Daniel. Got a 10-game hit streak going. It's the longest of her career. Edwards, the runner at first. And that ball scoots away to the Oklahoma dugout. A wild pitch puts Edwards in scoring position.
That's a good thing, too, about having Tori Edwards out there. She's known for her power. Because she's more of a power-type hitter and you see her in scoring position, she can easily score on something to the outfield.
It's a career-high 12 wild pitches for Landry, who's now behind 3-0 against Daniel. Sam Landry, 2.10 ERA this year, 143 2/3 innings, more than double any other pitcher on this staff in terms of innings thrown. And there's a walk, their 2nd of the inning. So 2 Tigers are on now. Patty Gasso not thrilled about it. Maddox McKee will bat. Well, this weekend, Sam Landry walked 5 and 6 in her 2 starts against Florida. A season-high 6 just 5 days ago. Maddox McKee on the first pitch. That will get through to Agbayani at second. The first plate appearance less Georgia. And how close is this league? The difference between the 1 and the 9 seeds in some ways is negligible. Both teams averaging over 7 runs a game. LSU slightly better ERA. Oklahoma 17 and 7. LSU 12 and 12. But the Tigers actually 2 spots higher in the RPI. They're ranked 4th. Oklahoma checking in after yesterday's games at 6. Now RPI is not everything. Oklahoma, based on the body of work, probably in the mix for the #1 seed overall. LSU trying to fight for a top 8 seed, which would guarantee, with a regional win, home field advantage and the super regional round. Sooners have 8-9-1 against Sydney Berzon, who walked 3, hit a batter, escaped with only 1 run allowed in the first. Isabella Emmerling at the plate.
You know, going back to their offenses and just how evenly matched those numbers are, the one most glaring difference to me is just the amount of home runs that Oklahoma has hit compared to LSU. They score their runs in very different ways. OU has a tendency to leave the ballpark more. And then LSU is going to be more speedy, station to station, execution. Just two very different offenses.
Yep. SEC games, Oklahoma is only 8th in batting average, but they're first by a mile in slugging percentage. They've had 42 home runs. LSU, we showed you earlier, Torrey Edwards has 18 of their total 42 home runs. That's the amount of home runs Oklahoma's hit just in conference play. Ground out to short here from Emmerling begins the home second.
Sydney Berzon has done a nice job of settling into this game after several free passes through the first 5 batters that she faced. Agbayani helped her out a little bit, rolling over up the end of her bat, an off-speed curveball that seemed like her swinging at that pitch and putting it into play really helped Berzon's confidence to continue to get outs moving forward.
Abby Dayton pokes the first pitch to Lassiter. There's a quick out for Berzon, who's retired 4 in a row. What do you think's been the difference in the last 4 batters?
I think her throwing that off-speed curveball more. She just got Abby Dayton out on it. It's a pitch that she got Agbayani out back in the first inning. Just a pitch that she's been able to locate more for a strike, and they're not looking for that speed at this point in the game.
There's Cassidy Pickering at the top of the card.
Ball.
Pickering had the first of those 3 walks, plus a hit batter in the first inning. 15 straight game in the leadoff spot.
It's a better drop ball too, and that's a pitch to start paying attention to the second time through the order. It's a pitch she struggled with to have command through the first time in the order against OU, but it's a must-have pitch for her to still be able to go deeper into this game.
Back-to-back strikes, and it's 1-2. Berzon coming off a weekend where she allowed 11 runs, only 4 earned, and 2 2/3 at Arkansas.
Ball.
And Bergeron couldn't pull that one in.
Well, Berzon thought she was about to pick up a rosin bag and head to the dugout, thinking that was going to be a called strike. She was fully expecting it to.
Two for the dangerous Pickering. Is grounded out of play. Sydney Berzon has been fighting through lots of bumps and bruises this year. Not NCAA tournament teams from a year ago. They've had some recent years where they have fumbled it a little bit down the stretch. But it was great from an LSU perspective. See them beat Florida after a run rule loss 2 weekends ago. They dropped 2 of 3 at Arkansas yesterday, but have some real confidence with the way they played all around in the 5-0 shutout of Mississippi State yesterday.
When Sydney Berzon is pitching the way that she's capable of, despite kind of fighting through a little bit of injury throughout this season, and Jaden Heavner is pitching the way that she's capable of, like we saw yesterday, this is a really good 1-2 punch that they're led with in the circle. And the improvement in their offense, scoring a bunch more runs, hitting for a higher average this year to support those pitchers in the circle and give them the run support that they need. Hitting above 300 this year. Last year they hit under 300. This year they're well above 300 as a team.
2-2 to the Oklahoma transfer, Avery Hodge, who takes up high. So how can this team break through in a way that others haven't? What could make this a World Series team?
Just being able to finish. And I think that that's been a high priority for them. I mean, last year that they were unfortunately faced with going on the road to face Nyjah Kennedy in Super Regionals.
A wicked pitch from Landry there, gets the former Sooner swinging.
I actually think that was supposed to be a drop ball that she holds on to, and it just fooled Avery Hodge. Kind of a weird pitch. She held on to it, and it ended up going really high, a little bit wild, but she gets a strikeout nonetheless.
4 strikeouts, first time through the order for Landry, and now strike 1 to Danica Coffey. She's gone 0 for 5 here at the SEC tournament.
And when we talked to Bryce Neal, their hitting coach, he talked about how they're deprioritizing the swing a little bit more offensively, but a bigger emphasis on 3 pillars: high-level effort, high-level execution, and high-level toughness. And he said that we've put those things in place to uphold a standard to say, look, this is what you guys want it to be as a group. And we're going to remind you of all of these things and hold you accountable, from hard 60s, how hard we run down to first base, to kind of measuring all these different things at practices and in games. But we're going to remind you that we've fallen short in the past of those things. And we want you to take ownership of those 3 pillars to be able to get back to the World Series and meet our goals.
Yeah, they're aware that they've had some frustrating finishes to the year after hot starts year in and year out. 1-0 for Jayla Lassiter. Last season, LSU was the last undefeated team in the country. Started 24-0. They finished 44-17. They made it to the semis of the SEC tournament, but they only went 2-6 in SEC series. Lassiter to second base. That's swept up by Agbayani in a 1-2-3 for Sam Landry. Well, we had never seen a run quite like this in Division I softball. Kelly Maxwell was the final piece of last year's puzzle for a 4-peat. Tiare Jennings, Jada Coleman blow the whole thing up this year. Everybody graduated. You bring back Patty Gasso, Hall of Fame coach. The virtuoso sophomore Cassidy Pickering, Gabby Garcia, daughter of a Hall of Famer at Arizona State. You got your ace Sam Landry, and it's still a wickedly talented Oklahoma roster. Tiare Jennings is still around the program right there as a grad assistant. She was part of that greatest senior class in softball history, winners of 4 national championships in a row. They've had to do things differently this year. Patty Gasso told us it is probably the first team she's had like this that's had to reload so much since all the way back in 2011. They get Ella Parker a big part of this at the plate right now. Another way they've had to rebuild. It's a new team, a lot of new faces. They're in a brand new league as well. Big 12 or the big whatever it was before that for their whole history. Now they find themselves in the SEC with this new group. So things are a lot different for Oklahoma, including they're not playing in the state of Oklahoma. It's been 2,903 days since Oklahoma played a postseason game outside of their home state. You think about the Big 12 tournament was always at OKC, the World Series, OKC. And they always hosted a regional or a super since they went to Auburn in 2017, where they swept the Tigers in the supers. That's 85 consecutive postseason games that were a very short drive for OU. It's frankly hard to believe. 85 postseason games in a row in your state. It's obviously the advantage when the Big 12 tourney and the World Series are there, but we're truly in hardly charted waters right now for Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's a mind-blowing stat, and they just made it all look so easy. I mean, it is such a big deal to grab a top 8 national seed when the bracket comes out. It's a huge deal, and that's what they've done every single year for the past 8 years. They've made everything look so easy, and it's been anything but easy for them. But it's how they approach the game, how they play under pressure, and again, how they play with the absolute biggest target on their back against everybody that they face.
Down to third. That is just foul from McEnroe Marinas.
It's a good swing off of the off-speed curveball by Sydney Berzon. We talked about her being able to change speeds more, especially at the end of the first inning and into that second inning when she went 3 up, 3 down, but said that Oklahoma wasn't looking for that speed. They were just not swinging at it, hitting it off the end of their bat, but that was a barreled up off-speed pitch off of Nellie's bat.
Into short right. A pop out to Daniel.
Amanda, you were talking about the pressure of playing at Oklahoma, and I was talking to Ella Parker about that, and she said from day one, when you step on campus at Oklahoma, they preach to you that you don't have to do too much. This is Oklahoma. There are stars around you. Now, you have to keep in mind, most of these players come from teams where they were the player. They were the one who needed to produce, but then when you come to Oklahoma, you don't have to try to do too much. So I think that frees hitters up to really not press, to just be confident, stick with their approach because they trust their teammates around them.
Well, and especially with how Patty Gasso has utilized the transfer portal. We saw that Kelly Maxwell was the puzzle piece that completed last season.
Gabby Garcia to the left, and Leno finds this in the sun.
Still worked. 4 strikeouts for the first time through the order for Landry.
Nobody has a hit in the game. That includes Macy Bergeron. Landry's now starting to get some quick outs after, as you heard Patty say, she had to work back from a lot of 2-0 counts. Walks to Edwards and Daniel. Those are the only blemishes for the former Louisiana Ragin' Cajun, who's going to face Tori Edwards again. Bam! Start her with a swinging strike off speed for the second straight at bat. Tori Edwards coming off an 0 for 8 week against Arkansas. She did walk 4 times. .34 walks on the year. She's got the second best on base percentage. Learning how to be a little more patient, because they feel like every pitcher is bringing their best to Tori Edwards. A soft ground ball. Agbayani flips it just in time.
And Sam Landry is getting a lot of soft contact, a lot of rolled over ground balls. You can tell that LSU has that changeup that she's working on in the back of their mind. They're caught in between speeds, not really able to barrel up anything.
Ball.
Second time through the order, LSU has 4 consecutive groundouts. Haven't barreled up anything against Landry today.
When you watch Sam Landry pitch, you know she always has those glasses on, and there's a story behind it. So she started wearing them her junior year of high school, and she said, I can't remember why I wore them on this day in particular, but it was a playoff game her junior year. She wore the glasses and threw her first ever perfect game. And so she literally can't even remember why she started wearing them that day, but because she threw a perfect game on that day, now she never pitches without them. She has black frames too, but those are for, like, you know, everyday life. The clear frames are for when she's out here on game day.
Yeah, some pitchers like to be intimidating by wearing the mask, wearing some eye black. Sam Landry just rocks the clear glasses. And it's working out brilliantly. As she can see clearly now, another inning is gone. 4 no-hit innings at that for the former Ragin' Cajun, still rocking LSU.
She can see clearly now, the rain's gone, and she's working that drop ball. After 4 free passes in the first inning through the first 5 hitters that she faced against Oklahoma, Sydney Berzon has just settled into this game and